flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
The first thing we're going to do tonight, we have a guest of the board, and Tom Kapner is going to update us on the Agricultural Economic Committee that he serves on.
Good evening, everyone. So a quick update on the county's economic development plan, and I'm going to concentrate my remarks on the agricultural component, which I think is the most relevant to our town. The steering committee that was charged to improve the draft that was submitted to the county by their consultants has been meeting since August, and we've come up with a much more substantive and focused version. The document that we were given had some 30-plus initiatives that were somewhat vague and all over the place. We reduced them to 9 strategic initiatives with steps under each of them to guide action plans. And they are: 1, build capacity and coordination among government, private sector, and institutional partners. 2, coordinate development and funding of infrastructure projects to meet economic development priorities. 3, revitalize the county, specifically the downtown and neighborhood centers, while preserving community character. 4, strengthen and build partnerships among SUNY Sullivan, BOCES, county, and other institutions and programs to share resources and maximize educational opportunities available. 5, develop shovel-ready sites throughout the county. 6, sustain key agricultural industries and continue efforts to develop new ones. 7, increase tourism's impact on the economy and benefits to year-round residents by fostering synergies and greater leveraging of spending and investment. 8, build on the healthcare sector's contribution to employment and investment within the county and region by fostering growth opportunities and increased synergies. And 9, continue to expand other important sectors in the county's economic development. Under the agricultural initiative, we listed 4 steps around which to develop action plans. Number 1, develop a program to build dairy processing capacity, focusing on value-added enterprises such as the Tonjes Farm, the Formaggio cheese plant, and the kosher organic facility in the Fallsburg area. 2, ensure that the Liberty red meat processing facility is completed and developed in a way that farmers will use it and will sustain other businesses. 3, further the efforts of the development of a food hub and foster regional partnerships for success. And an example in this area would be the Eat Kitchen at the Cooperative Extension, which focuses on food preparation using local ingredients. And 4, task the Agriculture and Farmland Protection Plan, which is being updated, with exploring other opportunities for expanding agriculture in the county, including but not limited to hops development, wine, cider, distillery production, berries, hoop houses, and renewable energy, such as using switchgrass to produce pellets for heating. So in essence, what we've done is to produce the outlines for the economic development plan, and now the real work has to be done. The action plans have to be formulated, and we have to make sure that they get implemented, and that will be a real challenge. My own take on the challenges the agricultural sector faces, I would say in general, given that we have a small-scale family type of farm in our agricultural sector, and given our topography and landholding patterns, I don't believe that we can compete with the globalized corporate industrial farm model that federal subsidies favor. That business model, I think, is killing us. Most at risk is the traditional foundation of our agricultural sector, the dairy farm. The general forecast, for what it's worth, is for a slight increase in milk prices and a stabilizing trend for the next 5 years, which means that our dairy farmers can probably hang in there for the time being. In the long run, the best hope is for more value-added production, such as in the Tonjes farm. We need to bring the increasing demand for specialty cheeses and yogurt to the local level with processing facilities catering to the New York metropolitan market. Vegetable farming also needs a business model based on connecting small-scale producers directly to consumers within a 200-mile radius. We need to find ways to take advantage of the demand for wholesome, locally produced products without massive chemical inputs. The market is there. The challenge is to find ways of connecting to it. And I think that marketing and establishing direct connections really is the key here. I actually believe that there is a good deal of potential for a viable, sustainable agricultural sector. Looking at the trends outlined in the Mid-Hudson Region Development Plan, the potential for agriculture is underscored by the fact that it showed the third highest growth rate, 47.5%, after management of companies, which was 86.7%, and arts, entertainment, and recreation, 59.5%. And agriculture has a higher multiplier, being connected to a variety of ancillary businesses, supplies, machinery and maintenance, veterinary services, insurance and finance services, sales and distribution of agricultural products. In other words, for each dollar generated by agriculture, you get another $3 to $4. Increasingly, we are adjusting to a model that has the most potential for us and is consistent with a healthy and sustainable development. Our town's agriculture and farmland protection plan shows that a majority of our farms earn less than $50,000 a year, and the largest increase is in farms between 10 and 50 acres. The highest increase in sales was registered by farms with less than $250,000 per year, but this is compensated by the fact that the overall total in sales by this sector was an increase of 55.7%, which indicates a slow but steady level of growth consistent with a healthy and sustainable development. And I would add that agriculture preserves our rural character, which is so vital to attracting visitors and residents. I should mention that Isaac and I are working on a film on the changing face of agriculture, where we will be interviewing folks representative of these trends with a view to encouraging support for our agricultural sector, which leads me to my final point. In my experience, development plans tend to formulate lofty goals and then end up being put on a shelf collecting dust and languishing in some governmental office. If the county's economic development plan is going to have real results, and particularly if it is to succeed in promoting a viable future for agriculture, that will depend on public support for agriculture and pressure on governmental agencies to actually implement policies to directly connect our producers to consumers locally and in the surrounding region. In brief, we all need to become advocates and supporters of our agricultural sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Well done, Tom.
Good job, Tom. Very good.
Tom, how much, you take a, and I never spoke to Tim Tonjes about it, but setting up a cheese facility or something like that, how much bureaucracy and regulation do they have to put up with before they can put out a pound of cheese?
Well, I imagine there must be some of it involved.
It's gotta be horrendous.
In general, that is a problem. I mean, you know, that it's a problem that all agricultural producers complain about. They get swamped with unnecessary paperwork and you know, they spend a lot of their time just,
Unproductive.
you know, I mean, you know, the answer to that, I don't know. I mean, all we can do is to keep complaining about it, and there's, you know, they have streamlined some procedures, and there is a lot of excitement and a lot of, you know, support for these kind of facilities. So I imagine the county will do, you know, will make an effort to try to encourage that.
Okay, can I get someone to get a motion to accept the minutes from the November 13th town board meeting and the December 3rd special meeting? Second by Harold, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Tess, your report?
Okay, November receipts total $2,656 with $26.36 turned over to the supervisor. Of that, $2,071 was building fees. I'd like authorization for a $100 petty cash fund for tax collection, if that's okay. And, I'll be accepting credit cards for taxes starting in January. I can expand it to the clerk and the DEC programs, but I wanna see how it works with taxes first. And, what else? Oh, I spent a full day last week at DEC training. We're gonna have an entirely new system for sporting licenses, and, we're scheduled to go live right about tax time. So unfortunately, there isn't a training program, it's all live data, so we have to be very careful when we do it, and everybody's concerned about their deputies, about having to train people on the live system, so, I don't know how that's gonna work out. I didn't have any correspondence, but, I wonder if I can get the petty cash fund approved by you guys.
Can I get somebody to,
What's,
petty cash? Well, she wants to establish a $100 petty cash fund.
For taxes.
Tax collection, yeah. So somebody make a resolution, make a motion. Second?
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay, Superintendent, I didn't know Bill wasn't gonna be here tonight. This shows you how well we coordinate, huh?
Didn't pick him up on the way?
Uh,
No, I don't, he forgot to call me.
Although everybody knows that they've been out, that, you know,
Yeah.
doing
Yeah, they've been
with the
busy.
winter storms. Howard?
Nothing major going on. It's still busy, and a lot of small jobs. As you can tell from receipts, that there's been money coming in. It's been a good year. Hopefully next year will continue. No problems to speak of, which is also a good thing. So that's really it, you know.
Okay, how about the assessors?
Yes, I want to remind everyone to renew your basic star exemptions. The deadline is December 31st. And we received a list from Orbs today. There's still about 75 homeowners who have not re-registered. And if they don't do it by the end of the year, they will lose the exemption. So if you haven't done it yet, please do it.
Or if you know somebody,
It's the,
remind them.
It's
the
very
basic
easy, it only
exemptions.
takes a couple of minutes and it's done.
very easy. All the other exemptions, we mailed out the renewal forms on those. They've all been sent out.
Okay, Kara's not here, but I could maybe speak on her behalf. The last few weeks, I think I guess I say the same thing every meeting. We've been working pretty hard on grants, and we had a deadline. I guess it's not gonna be Friday, but we had a deadline last Friday, and caused Kara and Tess to kind of put a lot of extra time in. But they got the job done, and I'd like to thank them for that. And speaking of grants, Kara sent this over. the town of Delaware received $79,834 for the Railroad Square crossing they've been working on. If you remember, we were working pretty hard on to get that done. So it looks like we got that funding, so that's a good thing. Other than that, I don't think Kara had anything else that she tests.
Not that I know of, no.
Callicoon Creek Park,
The stage got moved, I'm not sure if that was reported at the last meeting, I don't remember the exact timing, but it was taken down and it's stored, and Patty Devine is letting us store it in her basement. And that's about all the news from the park.
Harold, UGC?
Yeah, we didn't have, well, oh, here again, we have stuff. Still haven't figured out to get this thing to promote, to print the other way. As you can see, I did get color this time. But the two lines have co-joined. So that means we're at the point where we're experiencing what has been the median of the flows in the area. So this is in the basin, so this is good. It's not below, it's not above, and that's where it is. I did a little something on the back differently this time. And this shows the whole New York City reservoir basin, including all the dams that provide water to it. And of course, ours are over here, the Cannonsville, the Papacton, the ones that feed the Delaware. And those two, the capacity at the Cannonsville was 73.8, and Papacton was at 75. So they got down a little bit. Total storage currently of their whole all of New York City's water basin is 81.2, and it's normally 73.1. So they got enough water; they don't have to worry about that. And down it talks about precipitation. Now this is interesting. In October, precipitation in the basin was 2.57, but historically it's 3.78 in inches. So we've had less rain. November it was 2.86, and historically it's 4.01, and December it's 0.62, and historically it's 3.55. So we are experiencing dry weather. We're just not getting the water in the basin system as we would like. They did something basically about adjusting for flows for the snowpack. As you remember last year, we didn't have much of a snowpack, and they rely on all that water melting off and coming into the reservoirs. So they didn't have that much. Other than that, there wasn't an awful lot. At the last meeting, there was a long session concerning cell towers, and cell towers through the Delaware River Basin, which is really, really needed down through there. We'll have two, I believe, going up in Damascus, and they get a little antsy on one side of the river or the other, because the one of them is probably going to give Callicoon more than Damascus is going to get out of it. Who knows? But the key of the whole thing is to provide cell service for people's protection, let alone just watching on the phone. So that's important. There was part of that controversy is nothing new. They had a situation years ago with cell towers, and nobody wanted to look at them. And the cell phones weren't as important as they are today, but everybody uses a cell phone for everything, except maybe telephoning, and they do everything else with it today, But we do need them, and a lot of the people that come to use the river, the recreational people, are cell phone addicts. They walk around with a cell phone attached to their head all the time, and they need it. So we hope that development will come. And it won't be so obscure that it should be obscure. You won't see it as much. But that's the argument. We don't want to see these ugly towers in the middle of the river, but we want our cell phone service. So what are you going to do? Okay. I don't know if there's anything else to report. That's about it.
Thank you, Harold.
Not a lot today.
I don't have a lot either, but I go back to the grants. What stage are we on? Are we on the third stage or?
We've had 2 requests for information, and I think we're almost gonna get sent to the state. I think
It's these These grant applications are, they're bears, they really are difficult to work through, and, a lot of this, you're dealing with not state employees, but contractors for the state. They change personnel like, you know, a lot. You're talking with one person today and someone else tomorrow. So, we continue to work on that, and, I would say, and Tess, tell me if you disagree, we're encouraged.
Yes.
And this is the large grant application we're working for Coraltown. So, we'll keep our fingers crossed and, we'll keep working on it.
Right, Brian Bressman says, as long as they keep coming back asking questions,
good
you're
sign.
moving along, so that's a positive thing.
Yeah. So ask me a question.
Okay, I have, we have any comment, council comment? No old business. New business, we have to set a date for the reorganizational meeting. And what I'd like to do, I've talked to a couple of you about it, is to set it for the same as our meeting date. Our meeting date is early this year, it's January 8th. So, either we do it, 15 minutes or half an hour before the regular meeting, or just start it at 7 o'clock and go right into the regular meeting.
Whatever your pleasure.
I think that, we start 7?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. Tess, you'll
Yeah, I'll do
you'll
those.
advertise it? Okay, I have nothing else. We'll get a resolution for the abstracts.
So moved.
Second, Cindy? All those in favor?
Aye.
Do you have any public comment?
Question, two questions actually. The $79,000 grant for the railroad square, what would that involve doing? Is that just for the crosswalk or?
It's the actual railroad crossing. It's the actual railroad
Taking up the
crossing.
rails?
Excuse me?
Is that taking up the rails?
Yes, they're taking up the rail, they're gonna take up the, there's 2 rails, they're gonna take up one, which is just a siding. And, they're gonna take them actually both up and replace them with, it'll be a concrete crossing. And, we were able to use the railroad's contribution to that project, and get some additional funds for the parking area, get that expanded and blacktopped. So,
Great.
One other question, the budget that got passed last month, is that now available online? Is it on the town's
You're welcome
website?
to come in and get a copy of it, Steve.
Okay, thank you.
It's not online. None of the clerks put their budgets online.
Any other comment, any questions? Okay, Lieutenant, a motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Harold.
Second.
Second, John, all those in favor?
Aye. Start signing, Cindy.